Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Radhanata Radha Radhanata Radhe. Jaya Nitai Gaura Hari Nitai Gaura Hari Gaura Hari. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Founder Charsha Prabhupada Ki Jai, Jai Shri Nitai Gaur Hari Ki Jai, Jai Shri Shri Radha Radhanath Ki Jai. Hey, thank you very much for coming for this reading on chapter 8 of the Krishna book, which is entitled The Vision of the Universal Form. Can you all hear me? After this incident, Vasudeva asked his family priest, Gargamuni to visit the place of Nanda Maharaj in order to astrologically calculate the future life of Krishna. Gargamuni was a great saintly sage who had undergone many austerities and penances and been appointed priest of the Yadu dynasty. When Gargamuni arrived at the home of Nanda Maharaj was very much pleased to see him and immediately stood up with folded hands and offered his respectful obeisances. He received Gargamuni with feeling of one who is worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He offered him a nice sitting place, and when he sat down, Nanda Maharaj offered him warm reception. Addressing him very politely, he said, "My dear Brahmana, your appearance in the householder's place is only enlightened. We are always engaged in household duties and are forgetting our real duty of self-realization. Your coming to our house is to give us some enlightenment about spiritual life. You have no other purpose in visiting householders. Actually, a saintly person or a Brahmana has no business visiting householders who are always busy in the matter of dollar and cents. The only reason saintly persons and Brahmanas go to the place of householders is to enlighten him. If it is asked, why don't the householders go to saintly persons or a Brahmana for enlightenment, the answer is that householders are very poor-hearted. Generally, householders think that engaging in family affairs is their prime duty, and that self-realization or enlightenment in the spiritual knowledge is secondary. Out of compassion only, saintly persons and Brahmanas go to their householders' homes. So we can actually see from this that the proper way to welcome saintly persons, and most of us as devotees, when we go out preaching, you know how difficult it is. People don't really welcome devotees. It's kind of like they turn you away. But here Nanda Maharaj is actually showing the proper etiquette for householders, how householders should receive spiritual personalities, because it makes it very auspicious when you welcome a spiritual personality. Actually, most of the time, if you look at your hearts, and most materialistic, the heart is kind of like stone-hearted, it's closed. But these spiritual personalities, the great acharyas, like if you look at Srila Prabhupada, the very highly elevated devotees who are practicing Krishna consciousness, they have this ability to reawaken that dormant Krishna consciousness that is in people. So this is an example that has been given how to welcome saintly persons. Nanda Maharaj addressed Gargamuni as one of the great authorities in astrological science. The foretellings of astrological science, such as the occurrence of the solar and lunar eclipse, are wonderful calculations, and by this particular science, a person can understand the future very clearly. Gargamuni was proficient in this knowledge. By this knowledge, one can also understand what his previous activities were that are causing him to enjoy or suffer in this life. Nanda Maharaj also addressed Gargamuni as the best of the Brahmanas. A Brahmana is one who is expert in the knowledge of the Supreme. Without knowledge of the Supreme Absolute, one cannot be recognized as a Brahmana. The exact word used in this connection is Brahma Vidam, which means those who know the Supreme very well. An expert Brahmana is able to give reformatory facilities to the subcaste, namely the Kshatriyas and the Vaishyas. The Shudras observe no reformatory performances. The Brahmana is considered the spiritual master or priest for the Kshatriya and the Vaishya. Nanda Maharaj happened to be a Vaishya, and he accepted Gargamuni as the first-class Brahmana. He therefore offered his two foster sons, namely Krishna and Balaram, to him to purify. Nanda stated that not only these boys, but all human beings just after birth should accept a qualified Brahmana as a spiritual master. So, as we can see, Nanda Maharaj is explaining the science how to surrender to a spiritual master, which should be started from a very early age. That same as Prahlad Maharaj, when he was giving instructions, he said that you should teach kids from a very young age about Krishna consciousness. So it should not start like we're very familiar where people sometimes say, when they retire, then they'll take to God consciousness. But that's not good, because you never know what can happen. No, there's so much of dangers lurking all over. So Nanda Maharaj, being a Nitya Siddha devotee, a pure devotee, he understands, he can see the past, present, and the future. Because these great souls, they know what is needed and how to rectify the suffering that humanity will face. So they give the example, and out of their pure mercy, they're actually coming to the spiritual world, from the spiritual world to be in the pastimes of the Lord, and to reciprocate in a way that also teaches the conditioned souls that are suffering in this material world. Just by hearing the pastime or the instructions, we can absorb, we can take it through the ear, and it can go to our heart and purify us there, and we know how to act on the instructions. But that only can come from a pure devotee. So the pure devotees are the devotees that are in Krishna, Krishna's pastimes, and the devotees like Srila Prabhupada that come down to give this message. So these messages, you have to be very fortunate to be in that space to receive this mercy, and then also to act on it. Sometimes you find that a lot of people are receiving the mercy, but they're not acting on it. So the thing that pleases Krishna the most is devotional service. And devotional service according to your capacity to serve. So we should be like always ready to receive this mercy as it's coming. Is there any questions? Or some? Okay, that's good. So I'll continue. Okay.
So you're speaking about the pure devotee coming down to help and teach us. Is it possible for a conditioned soul to become a pure devotee and then to also inspire others to make spiritual advancement?
Okay, firstly we have to understand you get two types of devotees. The Nitya Siddha, which is a pure devotee, they're always liberated. And the Nitya Baddha devotees, who are always conditioned. So like we all at this present moment are marginal. So it's depending on the mercy that we'll receive from the spiritual master. So if a person was to accept the spiritual master, follow the instructions that the spiritual master, the guidance that the spiritual master is giving, and with love and devotion, because the condition one requires to be able to advance spiritually is that we have to develop this love and devotion. That is what inspires Lord Krishna. Because we can have a lot of money, we can be very expert in our fields of study materially, and that condition of love and devotion is what is needed. So that attracts Krishna. So, but the most important thing is the spiritual master is going to connect you. But the conditioned souls are not. They are not Nitya Siddha, eternally liberated. They are conditioned. But once they are accepted by the spiritual master, Lord Nityananda, by Lord Nityananda's mercy, they are recommended to Srimati Radharani. And then Srimati Radharani, she accepts the conditioned souls that Lord Nityananda is sending forth to her. And then once she engages you in devotional service, and you serve Krishna, and you have to serve the devotees that are serving Krishna, like these highly elevated devotees like Nanda Maharaj, Mother Yashoda. So we cannot, if we have this aspiration to want to serve the pure devotees, Mother Yashoda, because when you look at Mother Yashoda, she is the topmost of all mothers. In the entire creation, she is the topmost of all mothers. Nanda Maharaj is the topmost of fathers. So this pastime, chapter 8, is actually glorifying these two devotees that are so special to Krishna. So if we can imbibe that mood of Mother Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj, that humility, if you look at it, there's so much of humility. Like when we read through, we saw how Nanda Maharaj served Garga Muni, the words that he spoke. He didn't have no ego, and yet he is the topmost of all fathers, and he is the father of Krishna. So the question is, the devotees that are practicing here, yes, they eventually will get the opportunity by the mercy of the spiritual master, Lord Nityananda, Srimati Radharani, to serve Krishna. And once you're serving Krishna, you'll never want to come back here to this material world. Because in the first place, when we came down, we were envious of the Supreme Lord. So we'll learn our lesson by the mercy and teachings of the Guru, and then we'll eventually not want to come back down. And then once you're associating with Krishna, then that's the highest of all services and devotion one can achieve. But basically serving the devotees. I hope, did it answer your question? Okay.
You were talking about how we can look at the example of how the pure devotees are behaving and we can imbibe that mood. But on the one hand we can be inspired, but on the other hand we can't imitate. So how do we actually sincerely develop qualities like humility without being pretentious?
Yes, that's a nice question. Humility. So sometimes we may not have any humility in us. But if we serve a devotee or a person that is full of humility, will actually that will rub onto us. So like they use an example of like a furnace, and you look at metal. When you put the metal in the furnace, it also starts to burn. So like when we are in association